March 2021. Can I go get you? Can I go get $4 million from the zone?
I'll fight for 4. Yeah, but if I'm gonna make $2 million with your son, and I'm gonna make $10 million with Kambosos or whatever the name is in Australia, guess what? What route would you take? Why would we let go of a $10 million offer?
Since they're doing a travel ban, it kind of made it a little bit more difficult now, because I think they have the travel ban in Australia now. So that was the whole purpose of it, of why we were going to fight Kambosos, was because it would be in Australia with the fans. And of course, who's going to say, who would say no to 60,000 fans in attendance? No one. So that was the whole goal for it. Now that the fact that due to COVID and everything, they have the travel ban, that kind of takes everything out the equation, where we might face Devin Haney next.
Are you saying that Kambosos has a better resume than Devin, and that he brings more money than Devin? Why you rate his mandatory more than you do Devin Haney's?
Better resume? Honestly, Kambosos fought his way. I don't think Devin has fought his way. But yeah, he does bring money to the table if the fight goes to Australia. Yeah. It's time where I start making more money now.
But
you know,
if
man.
it goes to Australia, if it doesn't go to Australia, he's going to present more money than Devin Haney in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Wow. But in terms of Devin, since you're talking about him and you're asking what...
It ain't going to happen.
No,
it ain't going to happen.
No, in
I'll
terms...
be honest. It ain't going to happen.
Which is the fight that you want to happen at 35? Which one are you looking at?
Like I said, man, a lot of people can say whatever they want, but the dude actually fought his way to get his shot with me, and he has actually 2. So it is going to be Kambosos.
Yep, your ears did not deceive you. Teofimo Lopez stated 5 months ago, "If I can't fight Kambosos in Australia in front of 60,000 fans, then what's the point? I'd rather fight Devin Haney next in the States." That was Teofimo Lopez's escape route to duck the Devin Haney fight for Undisputed, was to fight Kambosos in Australia in a stadium in order to gain all of those new fans to become a star overseas as well. Fast forward 4 months later, Teofimo Lopez couldn't sell any tickets in the States, so he pulled Cap 19. Then fast forward till today, Teofimo Lopez is now threatening Triller that he will vacate his IBF belt immediately if they are able to force him to fight Kambosos in Australia in front of a packed stadium. Teofimo made it clear he's more than willing to walk away from his biggest payday that will literally double his net worth. In other words, double all of the money he made throughout the years. Regardless of the cost, Teofimo Lopez is more than willing to pay the price. Therefore, according to ESPN Michael Coppinger, he stated that Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos fight most likely is not going to happen anymore, which will prompt Teofimo Lopez to vacate his IBF belt to George Kambosos, which, if that's the case, Teofimo Lopez manager Mick Water informed the public that Teofimo Lopez is most likely going to fight Lomachenko in a rematch by the end of this year in December, only under strict conditions, which are Lomachenko has to fight Teofimo Lopez under the same circumstances that Teo had to fight him under the first time around, which means Loma has to take the same flat offer of $1.35 million, and the rest of the money will go to Teofimo Lopez. If not, Teofimo Lopez made it clear that he will gladly walk away. No but what if about it. With that being stated, I have already dropped a video on the feud between Triller and Teofimo Lopez, which I'm going to leave the link for that video in the comment section below. But there's been certain developments since then. First of all, Teofimo Lopez is doing bad business and picking up a bad rep in the meantime, making too many empty promises, where he's slowly but surely going from the takeover to the fake over, faking everyone over. First, it was ESPN. Then it was Triller. Tio was ripping his new home Triller that believed in him like it was his own company. And today, he completely want to walk away after Triller lost $5 million just promoting the fight before Teofimo Lopez pulled Cap 19. Then he want to completely walk away. Who is going to do business with that guy? On top of that, it's not just Triller, it's also Top Rank. I could assure you, Bob Arum is fed up of Teofimo Lopez. Yeah, he got a new contract, but this is all a ploy to get Lomachenko back on top. As disappointed and upset ESPN and old media were when Tio beat Loma the first time, if Tio end up fighting Loma again, if he does not win by KO, he is not getting the decision. Bob Arum will make sure that happens. That way, Tio will end up with a worse contract than he had previously. And Loma this time around, I believe, he will let his hands go if they do fight again. And last but not least, when it comes to all of that, Teofimo Lopez duckish ways is catching up to him. Whatever route he takes is dangerous because he's so limited and he is not as confident as he betray himself out to be. If Teofimo Lopez has 50% of the confidence he claims, he wouldn't care if he fight Kambosos on the moon, let alone in Australia. In the first place, he wanted to fight Kambosos the first time around. During the actual pandemic, Tio agreed to fight Kambosos in Australia. All of a sudden, is a problem now. But that's what I mean, Tio duckish ways is catching up to him. Because he was saying all of those things to duck the dream. Or scratch that, the nightmare, Devin Haney. Because that's how Teofimo Lopez is treating him. Just peep the pattern. At first, Teofimo Lopez said 5 months ago that he only fighting George Kambosos in Australia. That's why he fighting him to begin with, in front of 60,000 fans. If not, he's not going to fight him in the States because he'd rather fight Devin Haney instead. Then when he couldn't fight George Kambosos in Australia, he ended up backpedaling on fighting Devin Haney, where he chose to fight George Kambosos in the States instead. After that, Tio told Devin Haney, if you beat Linares, I'll fight you next. Then when Devin beat Linares, Tio came out and said, even if Devin lost to Linares, I would have fought him next anyway. A couple days later, Tio tells his manager, McWater, that he is not fighting Devin Haney next because he having a baby, so he doesn't want to fight in November or December. Due to his wife giving birth around that time, he'd rather fight before that. But even then, he could have fought Devin Haney before that because Devin Haney by then already fought Linares anyway. And today, guess what? Teofimo Lopez is fighting in December, supposedly, according to McWater, against Lomachenko in a rematch. That's what I mean by Teofimo Lopez duckish ways is catching up to him. And all of the fans, including his own fans, is seeing every single contradiction given by Teofimo Lopez. Tio is giving so many. His own fans ran out of hands and feet, keeping up with them. Remember, this is the same man that told Triller Mike Tyson versus Holyfield trilogy will have to be on his undercard. Mike Tyson has to fight on his undercard because he is the main attraction. He is the superstar, is the takeover. However, ironically, he can't sell any tickets. I mean, respectfully, that's what you call delusional. Nevertheless, back to the main topic at hand. If Teofimo Lopez completely walks away from the George Kambosos fight after Triller won the purse bid and lost $5 million in promotion, then Tio can expect nothing less than a nice lawsuit sitting on his desk. This is not child play, and Tio will quickly realize that. I just can't comprehend why Tio wouldn't fight George Kambosos in Australia for his biggest payday of his career by far. Unless my sources that informed me Teofimo Lopez was looking terrible sparring in Vegas are true. And now Teo is worried that he will lose to George Kambosos fighting in Australia, giving up home ground advantage. Because if Teo truly believed he could knock out Kambosos in 3 rounds, he will fight him on the moon, like I said, let alone in Australia for his biggest payday. Furthermore, news came out that revealed when Triller won the purse bid, they have the rights to host the fight anywhere on the planet. Therefore, Teo has no leg to stand on. However, the IBF mandatory has a time window, and that's what Teo is trying to run with. But since it was Teofimo Lopez who tested positive for COVID and caused the fight to be postponed, then that will give Triller leeway to extend the timestamp. In fact, Triller already requested an extension, and that's what Teo and Triller are fighting over as we speak. With that being stated, it's not looking good for Teofimo Lopez. He already faked Cap 19, which I'ma leave the link for that video in the comment section below. And now he want to vacate his IBF belt to George Kambosos. Man, it's funny how the world turns. It was George Kambosos who called Devin Haney an email champion because Loma, instead of fighting his mandatory in Devin Haney, he ducked the Devin Haney fight instead by giving up his belt to Devin Haney, which is the same thing Teofimo Lopez is looking to do today to George Kambosos. So, is George Kambosos an email champion according to his own logic? Please flood George Kambosos' comment section with that question. Are you now an email champion, like you said about Devin Haney? But at the end of the day, or at least the night, the real email champions are Teofimo Lopez and Vasyl Lomachenko. See, Teofimo Lopez really doesn't lose much besides money by vacating his IBF belt. He will remain to be a unified champion since he was never undisputed to begin with. Showtime, the IBF, and all of the other organizations, they all never recognized Teofimo to be undisputed to begin with because he never was. With the facts being laid out, drop y'all thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, TV. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.
It has to happen immediately after the George Kambosos mandatory fight for Teofimo Lopez. That fight was postponed due to a positive COVID test for Teofimo Lopez. It's still in the air whether it'll be in August or September. But the news here is that the Lopez camp is willing to grant Vasyl Lomachenko a rematch, especially after this spectacular performance that we got from him tonight. The news on Teofimo is that right now he is in Italy on vacation with his wife Cynthia. But once he returns, he'll start camp once again because he's fully healthy after now testing negative for COVID-19, Joe.
And your son's a real man, and I hope he's getting better. From the COVID.
He's 100% out of
All right,
trouble
that's
right now.
good news, and we'll send it to you guys.